Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another predictions video, and in today's video I'm going to be predicting the Mccrory versus Roach Jr. fight. And so if you are new around here and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so, like the video if you're doing the live video, and let's get straight into it. So going into this fight, Roach Jr. is 24-1-1 with 9 KOs, and Mccrory is 16-0 with 8 KOs. This fight is for the WBA World Super Featherweight title. Roach Jr.'s last fight was a win via split decision versus Garcia, and Mccrory's last fight was a win via TKO in round 3 versus Carlson. This is in Roach Jr.'s home country of America. Mccrory is a southpaw. Roach Jr.'s loss came via unanimous decision versus Herring in 2019, and to speak a bit more about what I've just been saying, obviously this for that WBA title in which Roach Jr. won in his last fight versus Garcia, and a split decision victory against Hector Garcia is a very valiant win, and all credit to him. It was his first kind of, maybe not first major step up, but it was his return back to fighting for world titles after, of course, the loss prior back in 2019, then a few years ago. And obviously we weren't really too sure if he could step up to that world championship level, and he succeeded. It was a close fight, but nonetheless he managed to get the win, and now he's got this opponent who is somebody who is a bit of an unknown. Obviously, he's had a few fights at Madison Square Gardens, and they've just been on undercards of Callum Walsh fights, but still they've built him a little bit of a name, but not too huge of a name. He's been highly ranked now, and so he is relatively deserving of this shot, but this is a big step up for Mccrory, and Roach Jr. obviously used to having the big fights and being the big name. Obviously, I don't believe he's signed to anybody anymore. I don't think he's signed to Golden Boy or anybody like that anymore. So he's just gone to Pro Box TV and got this fight made, and I don't necessarily know if that means that he's going to be having more and more fights with them, or if it means that he's just wanted to put on a big show with them because they are doing good things at the moment. But nonetheless, it is nice to see that Pro Box TV, as a bit of a side thing, are doing really well. I just wanted to mention that. Of course, like I say, Roach Jr. used to fighting in America. Mccrory is southpaw though, and last time Roach Jr. faced a southpaw, I believe that was the Jamal Herring fight. I might be wrong. And Herring in that fight pretty much just beat him to the punch throughout the whole time, and showed that there was a bit of a recipe to beat Lamont Roach. And when you don't really respect the power in which he has, because he hasn't ever really been known for being a power puncher, you can beat him to the punch. And the way that Herring was moving around his punches and kind of moving Roach Jr. around with his punches was impressive, and that was just perhaps showing his experience. And since then, of course, Roach Jr. has grown in experience and is the one that's more experienced than Mccrory. But Mccrory, a southpaw and quite a physical southpaw when he wants to be as well, that could be similar to that of the Herring fight. Perhaps not quite at the same level, because at that time Herring was in the peak of his career and he was doing great things, but I don't necessarily know if Mccrory's able to step up. But of course this fight is going to answer that. But to speak about them both individually as fighters, Roach Jr., he's got fast hands, he's fast in general, that speed is just impressive. He's precise with his work, and so he's sharp, and that's no doubt he is a very sharp fighter. He can fight on the front or the back foot. I think he's proven that now. There has been fights typically where he's willing to go onto the back foot, but it was, I believe, the Rodriguez fight where Rodriguez let him onto the front foot, which was his second to last fight, and he put some really good work out and went through certain rounds looking very impressive on the front foot. And there were things there which I saw which perhaps I haven't seen loads from Roach Jr. in the past. He doesn't waste any of his work. He's very efficient with his work, which is a really nice trait to have, and with the athleticism that he already has, to not really waste work as well means that he can comfortably go that full 12 round distance and still be able to be offering a good output and still being able to fight very well into the later rounds. He resets well after he gets caught with any shots. He has a high tight guard, which is a nice attribute to have. Perhaps it means he's a little bit open to the body, but at the same time you can't really cover everything all at once, and so it's nice to see that he is able to still have a tight guard and have a high guard. A lot of fighters nowadays, especially confident ones, are fast and sharp. They come with quite a low guard, so it is nice to see Roach Jr. offering out that high defensive guard. He's got good combinations. He's got solid head movement as well, and he rolls with his punches really nicely. I think his upper body movement, when he offers out that head movement, is really impressive and really nice. And like I say, rolling with the punches that come up against him. He grows in confidence often throughout fights. I think he does improve throughout fights. He is a little bit of a slow starter, but like I say, when he gets going into fights and he works out what kind of fight he has to fight, he does grow in confidence. And he's got good body work. He's got good pressure when he wants to be on the front foot. He can offer good pressure, and like I say, with the good athleticism that he has, he can continue to offer pressure if you allow him onto the front foot, and he's explosive in his work as well. Negatives about him, obviously the power is something which I've already spoke about. It's not anywhere near the heights of certain fighters in this division. When you look at perhaps a Sugar Nunes, he's pretty much just known for his power, and you don't have that with Roach Jr. But there's nothing wrong with that. It's lots of fighters top level don't necessarily have crazy amounts of power, but it's just how you work it, and you can still hurt opponents just from timing alone, which is, in my opinion, probably a better way to hurt them than to actually just be relying on power all the time. He's not as physical as I think Mccrory is, and he's not really physical in general. He's not as, in my opinion, physically strong as Mccrory. He typically fights at a slower pace, and he wants you to fight at a slower pace. And so it'd be interesting to see. I don't think Mccrory is somebody who he does. I think he's a bit of a slow starter as well, but so he might be wanting to fight at a slower pace to start off with, but when it goes into the later rounds, it'll be interesting to see how fast the fight's going and who's the one pushing the pace more. He has good. Well, I think his front footwork is a little bit of a problem. His back footwork is nice, and that's often good. But I think his front footwork is a little bit of a problem at times. I think he can kind of walk onto shots when throwing in close, and he'll throw a combination and he'll just kind of walk into you whilst doing it, and he's not really planting his feet to do it, and it kind of means that you can get countered. And if he is literally just walking into you and perhaps hitting shots which aren't crazily powerful, if the opponent doesn't really respect that power, they can just time him coming in, and that's what I mean when I say I don't think his footwork, which is a bit of a mouthful to say, is anything too crazy. He can stand straight on at times. He can wait at mid-range a little bit too long, and I think Herring showed that. He kept him nicely at a jab a lot of the times, and Roach Jr. did seem to struggle to find gaps to come in and close that distance, and he was having success at mid range at times, but still I think he was struggling to get in close when he wanted to. If he's not first to the punch, like I say, I think he can struggle as well. And against southpaws, I think we've seen that now, and knowing when to commit and knowing how to find the openings when he does commit. Obviously, I think since that Herring fight, like I mentioned, the experience has grown and he's improved as a fighter, but it would be interesting to see if he does resort back to them old ways of struggling to get in close, even though he is explosive, and if he does it right, I'm sure he can get in close and do really good work, but it's just getting it right, which of course is a difficult thing to do. Speaking about Mccrory as a fighter, he's been active, and Roach Jr. has been not the most active. He's, I believe, fought once last year, maybe twice, and Mccrory's fought 5 times in the last year or two. So he's been the much more active fighter, which is nice to see. Obviously, this is a very big step up for him, and it's been nowhere near the level in which Roach Jr. has been fighting, to be honest. And this is his first 12 rounder, I believe, as well. But he has been active, and he doesn't really come in with that ring rust, which is nice to see as well. And he's just taken this opportunity as the away fighter, which is also an impressive thing to do. He's relatively composed, so I don't think that Roach Jr. might be. I don't think Roach Jr. will be able to fluster him with his explosiveness. He wants the centre of the ring. He's a pressure fighter typically. He's, like I say, more physical out of the two, and he's front foot fighter as well. Who's got nice combinations when he throws them. He really does dig in them strong hooks that he has. I think he's not crazily powerful either, but when he digs in them really strong hooks, they do seem to hurt, and when he distributes them to the body, to the head, it's nice. It looks difficult to be able to deal with and to be able to handle. He makes you uncomfortable with his physicality. He changes levels with his hooks. He imposes his size. He's confident, I think, as well coming into it. I think certain fighters, when they get opportunities as big as this, they can respect their opponents too much and not have that level of confidence that you necessarily need as the away fighter in yourself and in your own ability. But I think that Mccrory definitely has that, and I don't think that he will respect Roach Jr. as a fighter or respect the power that he has, especially. Negatives about him, obviously, like I said, it's a huge step up for him, so we're going to have to wait to see how he can deal with that. He's got quite an open guard at times. It's nowhere near as compact as that of Roach Jr.'s. He's not as accurate or as fast, in my opinion. I think he can perhaps struggle to find his range a little bit at times. I think he does fight better in close, but yeah, when he tries to fight at a mid-range, especially early on, then I think he can struggle, and I think Roach Jr. early on might be able to nick a couple of rounds just from being able to jab and being able to find his range a bit better. His chin can be in the air a little bit at times, Mccrory's. He's not always best at keeping his opponents away from him. He's there to be hitting close. He can forget his jab a little bit at times, and it'll be interesting to see how Mccrory aims to get in close and to rough up Roach Jr., which I'm sure he's going to want to do. He can be drawn into a fight, and if Roach Jr. is drawn into a fight, that could make this fight really entertaining. But I suppose we haven't really seen Roach Jr. drawn into too many fights at the moment, or so far, and he does stand straight on a little bit at times as well. Roach Jr. is the favourite for this fight, and I think that Mccrory will win via TKO in round 10. It's a bold shout, and I understand that, and I think Roach Jr. is going to be able to win the majority of the rounds, to be honest, but just when it goes into the later rounds, like I say, the athleticism of them both, I believe, will be good. I think it'll be interesting to see how Mccrory deals with going into the later rounds, but if he manages to find his way in and starts breaking him down, I think Roach Jr. could struggle, especially if Mccrory starts going into the body nicely and is just confidently beating Roach Jr. to the punch into the later rounds. I think I could see Roach Jr. getting hurt, and like I say, that in close footwork of his not being excellent, I think Mccrory could just perhaps even just stand in front of him, use that physicality, and just distribute shots to the body, to the head, and strong hooks. And then I think the ref could jump in into the later rounds and stop the fight. And like I say, that'd be a huge, huge win for Mccrory and really kind of define the odds. And to be fair, well, I mean, we've just seen Kakase do it versus Cordina, getting that big underdog victory. So why can't we see Mccrory do it, I suppose, in the same weight division as well? So we'll have to wait and see. Then who we could go on to fight? I mean, if it's a close fight, then we could see the Roach Jr. one again. That wouldn't really surprise me. If not, then Kase, I believe, has just been ordered to, well, has just been made literally just today, the announcement of the fight versus Josh Warrington in September. So perhaps we won't see that, but that'll be a huge Irish fight. If not, there's a couple guys around the WBA rankings that are highly ranked that could end up fighting, deserving just a mandatory fight. And I think if Mccrory does win, then he definitely should try and defend his belt at least once before he goes on to look at other belts. And so maybe a Carroll could be a huge Irish fight as well. And if Mccrory's wanting to go back to Ireland to fight, which he hasn't done in a little while, that could be huge as well. But yeah, that's it for today's video. Hope you did enjoy. Like if you didn't, like this, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.